Hello everyone, my name is Nguyen, and for my experimental research presentation, I will be discussing Greenspace human use and impact and how that affects the biodiversity levels of an area. Today, I'll be breaking down my presentation into 4 different sections, including the introduction, methods and visual data, results and analysis, and finally the conclusions. While natural factors such as climate, variety of habitats, and soil composition can affect the biodiversity of a site, my main objective was to determine how human use and activity in an urban green space affects the biodiversity of the area. For my question, I was able to formulate 3 hypotheses. The first being that an increased amount of human activity in a green space decreases the biodiversity of an area by introducing pollution, infrastructure, and destruction of habitats. My next hypothesis was that an increased amount of human activity in a green space increases the biodiversity of that area. Finally, my last hypothesis was that high amounts of human activity and usage in an urban area does not affect the biodiversity of that site. Background information. So what is human use? Well, human use of a green space encompasses a variety of activities, including litter and trash, erosion, trail quality, roads and pavement, noise level, and infrastructure. Any activities performed by humans that alter how a green space looks and functions fall under human use. And what is biodiversity? Well, it is defined as the diversity of life on Earth and in its ecosystems. A wide range of species and variety of different organisms contribute to an area's biodiversity and can affect or be influenced by the surrounding environment. A link between these two topics can be formed and describe the quality of our green space and how this can affect the types of species that are found in the area. Methods and data. Data collection on human use and impact of my green space was recorded on 2 different forms. This included the Human Impact Assessment form and Evidence of Human Impact form. All data was collected from the green space at Woodridge Square in Austin, Texas, was handwritten, collected on the same day, and in one sitting. Both of these forms were utilized to assess qualitative and quantitative parameters like soil compaction, building quality, noise pollution, and other parameters. I also recorded average, minimum, and maximum noise levels inside and outside of my green space in 6 different locations. GPS coordinates were recorded and noise levels were recorded using the Decibel dB Sound Level Meter app by Vlad Polyansky. By utilizing these forms, I was able to determine the quality of the area and how much human usage had occurred. Pictured here is the Human Impact Assessment form, utilizing a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being very bad and 5 being very good. Each parameter was graded on this scale to determine the quality of the green space as well as its amenities and facilities. Pictured here is the Evidence of Human Interaction form, utilized to determine the quantitative aspects of the green space, such as campsites, restrooms, parking spots, as well as noise levels. Organism and biodiversity identification. Data was collected by taking photographs of 20 different organisms inside and outside of the green space. Multiple photos were taken of each organism. The organisms were then identified based on recommendations from the photos uploaded to the identification app iNaturalist. Notes: GPS coordinates were recorded for all organisms photographed. Images of plants included complete shots of the plant and close-up shots of its leaves, branches, flowers, and fruit. Further research was utilized to ensure accurate identification of organisms and if iNaturalist did not provide a strong enough recommendation. Organisms were split into 2 different categories, flora and fauna. Flora comprising all of the plant species in an environment, including trees, shrubs, grasses, flowers, and vines, while fauna comprises all of the animal life in the area, including species from classes such as mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians, and insects. Pictured here are all the organisms inside of the green space. On the left includes the organism name, and on the right shows their GPS coordinates. Pictured here are the organisms that were found outside of the green space in the surrounding urban area. As you can see, plants that were marked cultivated are species where they were planned to be a part of the site and have been planted by humans for aesthetic purposes. These species typically do not grow in the area naturally. Results and analysis. Here are my results for the Human Impact Assessment form. All parameters were scored on a 1 to 5 scale, 1 being bad and 5 indicating good quality. All of my qualitative parameters did score a 4. This indicates that there were low levels of trash and litter throughout the area, small areas of erosion, mostly being healed over, insignificant deterioration of soil, and for the overall quality assessment of my green space, it was very high, demonstrating that the green space was well kept and well maintained. Here are my results for the evidence of human interaction. There were no campsites found in the area, no restrooms, and no parking spaces inside of the green space. However, for my noise levels, the average, maximum, and minimum noise levels were recorded at higher rates outside of the green space. Additionally, noise monitoring notes were taken into account for factors that could affect the noise level readings. This included traffic, cars, wind, and human-generated noise like talking and walking. Organisms inside of green space. Pictured to the right are images of 10 different organisms identified inside the green space, including their species names. Many of these plants are native to Texas and can be found in the surrounding Austin area. Organisms outside of green space. Pictured to the right are images of 10 different organisms identified outside of the green space in the surrounding urban area, including their species name. Many of these species are cultivated plants that were planned to be a part of the surrounding urban area and are not native to Texas. Conclusions. So how does human use and impact affect the biodiversity levels of a green space? Well, through my experimentation, I found that high quality and well-developed green spaces are able to maintain biodiversity levels even with an increased amount of human use and activity. Overall, there were no issues that occurred during data collection. However, information concerning green space quality and quantitative parameters can alter on a daily basis depending on human use that day. Connections and overall importance. Well, through this experimentation, future use of green spaces should be centered around nature-based approaches to ensure biodiversity in that area thrives for future generations. Thank you all so much for listening to my presentation today on green space human use and how that affects the levels of biodiversity in an area. I hope that you were all able to learn that by keeping green spaces to a high standard will benefit all organisms and allow biodiversity levels to thrive in a green space.